Hi, everyone. I'm so happy that you asked me to join you this Sunday. In keeping with this month's theme of home, I remembered one of my favorite parables from the Bible, the story of the prodigal son, a tale that Jesus told of a young man who left his home to strike out on his own, got in over his head and returned to home, dragging his tail. Mainly, the story's about the reception he got. So Jesus in this parable was in a storytelling mood. His audience, says the Bible, was tax collectors and sinners and Pharisees who were grumbling about the fact that Jesus invited these people, these tax collectors and sinners, and he even ate with them. So Jesus told his audience several parables to teach the Pharisees about unconditional love and what it's like to live in the kingdom of heaven, your home within your heart. He began with a story about a shepherd who loses one sheep out of 100, but takes the trouble to search for the lost sheep and rejoices greatly with his friends when he finds it. Another story was about a woman who loses one of 10 coins, but searches carefully and rejoices with her friends and neighbors when she finds it. Then he gave his very famous parable of the prodigal son. It's about how we carry our home in our heart, no matter where we are. It's unique in many ways, because it's probably the best natured of all of Jesus' parables. No one involved in it's really presented in a bad light. No one is judged. Everyone gets to do their own thing and have his own say, and it all turns out beautifully. Listen to it as I read to you from Luke 15. Then Jesus said, there was a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the share of the property that would belong to me. So he divided his property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all that he had and traveled to a distant country. And there he squandered his property in dissolute living. Doesn't that look fun? When he had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed the pigs. He would gladly have filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, but nobody gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, how many of my father's hired hands have bread enough and to spare? But here I am, dying of hunger. I will get up and go to my father, and I will say to him, he's making a plan for his speech. Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired hands. So he set off and went to his father. But while he was still far off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion, and he ran and he put his arms around him and kissed him. And then the son said to him, he gave him his speech. He said, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his slaves, quickly, go and bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger. I guess that's what's in the little chest there. And sandals on his feet. And get the fatted calf and kill it. And let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to celebrate. So metaphysically, the Father's home stands for the very center of our being, where we are one with Spirit. It's the place in our mind, in our heart, where we know, and we know that we know, where we know God and we know that we know God. It's that point in our awareness from which we're able to understand what we really mean when we say, the Father and I are one, or I am one with God. When we're metaphysically living in our Father's home, it means that we are living consciously. It means that we're able to think only the thoughts we want to think, we choose to think. It means that we'll feel only the feelings that we choose to feel, that we want to feel, and act only as we truly want to act in life. Such a person in that state is in control of themselves. They're in charge of their life. They're living from the center of themselves and express outward towards the circumference of their life. As Eric Butterworth says, living from the inside out. This is called conscious living. Very few people do it. We do it sporadically. I know the popular concept is that we're all living consciously, but guess what? We're not. One of the books we're using in the course I'm teaching right now is Conscious Living. And one of our first assignments was to rank ourselves on a self-awareness scale. No one assessed themselves as a perfect 10, of course. Some people put down 8s or 9s, but really? I don't think so, because we're living in and out of consciousness all the time. During the course of a typical day in your life, how much time do you actually spend being aware of yourself as a spiritual being, or one with the Spirit of God, and expressing the good in all that you think, say, and do? If you're honest, the answer will be not much. We get restless. We forget. We wander off. We get all identified with our physical senses and with external things and events of the three-dimensional world. Jesus referred to this as the far country. The thing is, it's very obvious that Jesus regards this behavior as very normal and the natural thing. In no way is he down-putting or vindictive. He says, well, it's kind of like just the way of the world. What? The question is, so we can ask ourselves, without any feeling of guilt or blame, why do we leave the Father's house, which is home base? Why do we use up so much of our time and energy and money in strange and so often unrewarding ways? Why do we continue making so many mistakes when really we do know better? The reason suggested for this, especially in some churches and religions, is often that we're, born in original sin, that we're wicked, that we're stupid, that we're bad, but we don't believe that in unity. So the only logical answer really is curiosity. We're given freedom of choice. We've already been notified of our divine inheritance. We've already been given it. We were given it when we were born, but now we get curious. There's no harsh tone in Jesus recounting this. We're curious about all the possibilities of experience in living. Spiritual and non-spiritual, pleasant and unpleasant, beautiful and ugly. Just go down to any movie theater where there's a really nasty movie playing and look at the lineup of people waiting to get in and watch it. To quote George Bernard Shaw, there's two tragedies in life. One is to lose your heart's desire. The other is to gain it. Isn't it when you're down and out that there's only one place to go? Eventually the prodigal came to his senses, because he never really left his home and his mind, did he? He realized that he must return to his father and ask for forgiveness, so he turns towards home, gets out of the pig pen. That's all he has to do. Have a change of heart and turn toward the Father. Remember that the Father's rejoicing begins even before he actually gets home. It says while he was far off base, but now heading in the right direction. In other words, God, or the Father within, doesn't start rejoicing after you and I are back at home, but when we're turned in the right direction. we have some humility and we're willing to do what it takes to get home, to get into that feeling of unconditional love. I remember a time when I was playing Scrabble with husband number 2, and he was winning. I was not happy. He put down this incredible word, and I actually just took the Scrabble board, flipped it over, and the letters went flying everywhere. And as they were flying around, I suddenly came to myself. I thought, oh my gosh, Pat, was this what I want to be doing? Is this how I want to be playing Scrabble? Of course not. How juvenile. Well, we started laughing, and thank goodness Alan joined in, and we spent the next half hour crawling around on the floor looking for tiles. We never did find the J. I don't live there anymore. I wonder what the people thought when they found the J tile. But I apologized, we hugged, and all was well. So you see, God's just waiting for us to wake up, to come to ourselves, and realize that we are children of the Most High, that we're created after the image and after the likeness of our Creator. And God doesn't need to forgive us because God never condemned us. So is this the end of the story? There's more, as Paul Harvey, I don't know if any of you remember, began. It began with, remember, there once was a man who had 2 sons. So let's listen to the rest of the story, shall we? Bible back here. Now, I'm going to read from Luke, the rest of the chapter, almost. Now his elder son was in the field, and when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. He called one of the slaves, and he says, "What's going on?" And the slave replied, "Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf, because he has got him back safe and sound." And then he became so angry, and he refused to go in and join the party. So the father came out and began to plead with him. But he said to his father, "Listen, all these years I've been working like a slave for you, and I've never disobeyed your command, yet you've never given me even a young goat so that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this young son of yours came back, who's devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed a fatted calf for him." Well, not a happy camper, was he? Because the older brother was such a good boy. Stayed home, made his bed, did the dishes, never wrecked the family car, never got his girlfriend pregnant, didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't cuss, studied hard, always got good grades at school. He gave his time, talent, and treasure. He taught Sunday school, worked with disadvantaged youths, and never, ever considered running away from home. What's wrong with this picture? Well, really, nothing. If the elder brother's life was the measure of his character and spiritual development, he's doing a great job. This brother is a very interesting symbol, typical of the genius of Jesus. He stands for that part of our nature which is not given into temptation, to the lure of experimenting with life. He stands for that part or aspect of us that's always stayed close to home base, so to speak, has done things right. And that part of us includes many factors, from our sense of satisfaction from a job well done, or all of our good and safe opinions about ourselves and others. That part of us which remains obedient to the voice of conscience. But that can very quickly turn into a touchy thing called self-righteousness. This part of human nature often resents seeing foolish behavior quickly forgiven, or bad mistakes corrected too easily. It doesn't really understand the reactions of those driven by impulsive curiosity to take chances. Jesus doesn't condemn this older brother, this part of our human nature, but indicates it does need to be instructed. That's out of display. So here, about the meaning of the omnipresence of the Father's good. So he talks to the elder son. You know, that That within us needs to talk to us. If that part of us is willing to listen and to see that if we were only doing it to make God happy, guess what? That's not our job. Our job is not to make God happy. God has nothing to do with being made happy. We don't need to please God. We need to do what we are doing so that we can experience that God. But you know, that older brother, isn't it awful when you stay somewhere and it isn't where you want to be, but it's comfortable and you're afraid to leave? So it's the same with our thoughts and beliefs. We're afraid to give them up because we're used to them. They've served us in the past, and we don't want to let go of them. They might be right again sometime, even if they're not right now. The thing is, this parable isn't about right or wrong. It's about what works for you at this moment in this place. Sometimes we need to be the prodigal. Sometimes we need to be the elder brother. But at all times, we need to know that there is something in our heart, that loving Father. Listen to how this story ends. Then the father said to him, "Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice, because this brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He was lost and is found." The story is really about how home is always available to us, even when we're doing things which are self-destructive and silly. It's not a question of worthiness. God is the father of both sons, the one who's faithful and the one who rebels. God is the father of both ways of thinking, of both states of consciousness. God loves us, no matter what, no matter where. You know, no doubt we're going to wander again. We're insatiably curious creatures, and Father's home always waits our safe return. Our heart is always open. No matter which way we turn, God is with us at every step of the way, in us, through us, as us. Wherever we are, we carry home with us. Let's turn in meditation now as we listen to Daniel Nahmod take us to meditation. Wherever I am, I'm home.
Wherever I am, I'm home. Even when I wander in the world alone, it doesn't matter where I go. Oh no, wherever I am, I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. Wherever I am, I'm home. Even when I'm wandering, I'm never alone. It doesn't matter where I go, no, wherever I am, I'm home, I'm home, I'm home,
invite you to relax into your seat and breathe. Just as you let out your breath, relax all parts of your body. Scan your body and make sure that there's nowhere that's tense. Breathe into it and then focus your breath in your heart. Breathe into your heart, your home. No matter where you are, what you've done or not done, whether you're living consciously or you're living from self-will, being self-centered, thinking that what you're doing isn't really what you want to be doing. You can be in the consciousness of home, in the twinkling of a thought. You can return to your heart. My search for home is already met because it is written in my heart. In quietness and peace, the voice of my heart speaks words of love and comfort. I don't need to apologize for who I am. I accept responsibilities for my choices, knowing I can choose again. I know that my main responsibility is to allow Spirit to express through me as me. Sometimes I'm successful in doing that. Sometimes I'm not. It doesn't matter to my heart. I'm loved unconditionally. I take time in the silence right now to feel that love enfolding me. And I carry that love within me always. Take a deep breath in. Wiggle your fingers and toes, and let's return to this time and place as we listen to Daniel remind us, wherever I am, I'm home.
Wherever I am, I'm home. Even when I wander in the world alone, it doesn't matter where I go. Oh no, wherever I am, I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. Even when I'm wandering, I'm never alone. It doesn't matter where I go, no. Wherever I am, I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. I'm home.
Namaste. I look forward to chatting with you in a few minutes.